Welcome back to Film Fanatics, where we talk about the movies that have us obsessed, excited, and inspired. I'm Gall.
And I'm Alan, and today we have a very special interview for you before we shift into gears into a messy but beloved genre of high school movies. Today we have a young filmmaker, a writer, director, editor, cinematographer who recently came out with his new film R, about how the first R-rated movie got made, at least according to him. Please welcome to the show our esteemed guest, Holden Pollak.
How's it going? Thanks for having me, guys.
For sure.
Welcome.
Holden,
It's the
how
first
are you
time I
today?
actually introduced someone, so I'm excited. It's usually
That was
Gal's
great.
job.
It's a new milestone for Alan. First, Holden, I'd just like to start by asking you to tell the viewers a bit about yourself, where you're from, how your love of movies and your filmmaking journey began.
I'm from Long Beach, California, 20 years old. And it really just started with, I always had like this, I always wanted to do something with my imagination. And I was always a really creative kid. And my dad got me the camera when I was 10 years old. And my brother and I just started kind of making comedy skits because I grew up always like exposed to like Blazing Saddles, anything with Chris Farley, Will Ferrell. And we just started making skits. And then, as I got older, that was around when I was 10, it started to be like maybe 5-page scripts, then like 20. Then really, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I was 17, I just started to make my first feature stuff. I took a gap year actually from UCSB. I got in and I dropped out after 5 days because I felt like I wasn't fully ready to be like immersed into the college lifestyle, and I still needed to have time to make my movies because it's a lot of commitment there. You can't just go off to college, and you can, but it's hard when you're doing school and if you're not in the right environment. So that's kind of where I've been at. I've always been kind of butting heads with school, I feel like, and trying to manage time to make my movies with everything else going on in my life.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like we all can relate to that a little bit as as people that would rather either be making movies or or like watching movies instead of going to school. So yeah, very yeah. I actually something that really caught my eye in your film. I guess let's shift gears into your film. For those who didn't catch the beginning of the podcast, it's the name of the movie is R. Tell us a little bit actually. How can people watch it? When is it coming? Is it coming out officially anywhere? Like, how's that situation?
As of right now, I just have it as a screener. Still figuring out where I really want to release it or distribute it. Maybe like Tubi. I know I've been talking to Will Parker about it and stuff because he's been kind of helping me navigate everything. He's been awesome with that. But it's
an old friend of the Film Fanatics podcast.
Yeah.
Yes,
he's just
we've interviewed him before.
Yeah, I listen to that. He's the nicest guy ever,
He's awesome.
He's great.
Shout out.
But yeah, I'm still figuring it all out. But for right now, if anyone listening wants to message me on Instagram and ask for the link or anything, I'll be happy to send that to them. At Holden Pollak or at Most Productions right there. Go ahead and message me. I'll send it over.
Great. Spoiler alert, we both recommend it, so go do that after you watch the show. So I guess first question about the movie itself, with casting and writing the characters. How did you cast the actors first? Did you write with specific actors in mind that you knew from your circles? How was that process?
So I kind of always I knew this one was going to be a challenge because I've made I think 3 features before this that were high school based, and all of my friends are around my age, and working with your buddies is easier. And I was kind of like, oh okay, oh shit, like I need to have some adults in this. And my dad, who's the lead, I asked him before I started writing. I had this idea kind of in play because I just thought it'd be very interesting. I didn't know if I'd ask my dad. I just told him kind of that he was going to do it. And he was like gracious enough to sign on and do it with me. And that was cool. So I definitely wrote for him in mind and kind of wrote with what he's not an actor. I kind of wrote what I thought he could do and push him. And then as far as Robert Sabaroff goes, everyone in this movie pretty much besides Oliver Cooper and Eric Roberts is a friend of a friend of a friend of some sorts. Mark, I had in mind, I texted for it, but really my dad was the one person who I like knew, because when you're writing a movie that has this much weight, I feel like character wise on one person, it's kind of nice to know you have that person to start with. So that was always something I knew from the start. And interesting enough, the whole Eric Roberts, Oliver Cooper thing, when I started writing it, I just gone into my first year of college, technically, which I'm at San Luis Obispo. And like I said, it's kind of hard to write while you're at school, at least I feel like, while you're navigating this, for me, at least at the time, new lifestyle. And I was on page like 17 of the script. I was going through the motions, and then I had DM'd Oliver Cooper, just reaching out. I didn't know if he'd respond. I didn't really think he would, but I like to kind of aim for the stars. And he responds basically saying, like, sure, man, like, if it sounds good, like, thank you for thinking of me. So cool, like how passionate you are. If it feels right, I'll do it. And then, time went on. And that, when you have someone like that, because I'm a big Project X fan, I love Oliver Cooper. I think he's extremely underrated. And I don't know if you guys have seen Mindhunter, but he actually
I've
plays
seen the show, yeah.
Yeah, he's Son of Sam in that too. And he's just so talented. And when you have that guy being like, basically saying like, give me the script and I'll read it, that kind of put me from page 17 to page 97 in about a month, and just like shot me into high gear. And interesting enough, no shade to him, he kind of stopped responding to me on Instagram, and not, like, leave me on open. And I'm like, well, fuck, I just wrote this part for Oliver, like, for you. I wrote that scene for him and I finished the script. And then I just sent like probably like 500 emails to like actors, agents, and managers on IMDb, just trying to get everyone. And like I said, I would like shoot for reasonable people, and then like, like I shot for like crazy people too. Like I got rejected by Johnny Depp, Andrew Garfield's agent, like Colin Farrell, Paul Rudd. And it's like cool that they're responding and stuff, like De Niro. But
that's insane that they even responded. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
emailed
good.
them.
It's good to say also, like, oh, actually the Neuro passed on this part, but we got Eric Roberts, so it's good.
Yeah. And then Eric, what you want to do is when you're looking for if they don't have an agent or per se, or they're like have management, it's usually a little easier to reach them. So Eric, I emailed his assistant, and he got a hold of it, and he liked the script and he wanted to do it. And I was like, yes, like, fuck yes. Cause like Oliver at the time, I didn't think he was going to do it. And I really wanted someone, like some sort of established actor in my movie. And then I got Eric in it, and I was like, I haven't heard a no from Oliver yet. Let me just tell him that I got Eric in it. And I did. And then he agreed to do it. And he actually lives fairly close to me, so it worked out. And what kind of turned out for him, I think, was a little more of a risk, because Eric, still kind of risky, I guess, but he's one of the top credited actors on IMDb. He does a bunch of small stuff. So for him, it was not super out of the blue. Oliver, it was a little more of a risk. And thank God, by the time he left, we really liked each other, and we had a good time on set. One of the like funniest people I've ever met. He's so good. He's just so good at acting. It's insane. I remember him coming in, and he really taught me a lot about directing too, because when you're filming with your friends, I don't normally make people memorize their lines. And we do like, you go, I'll shoot you first, then we'll cut to the other guy, vice versa, back and forth, which is kind of this unnatural flow. And Oliver goes, let me just take it from the top. And that seems pretty dialogue heavy for him. It's about 5 pages, pretty much just him with my dad kind of nodding up and down like a bobblehead. And he just does that back and forth for probably 10 times over and over again. I'm just sitting there going like, wow, like this guy's amazing. So casting kind of got, I got lucky with it. And also Jean-Claude Van Damme, I met with his manager about him playing my part, but he lives in Hong Kong, and it was like maybe this window in Easter he'd be home, and but it didn't really work out. But so you can think about that, what that might have been like with him at that end scene
That would have
too.
been very
Hey, two for the
interesting.
moon, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
By the
I
way,
will say, Eric Roberts. I love Eric Roberts. Like anyway, like you said, he does a bunch of things, and every time I see him, he's committed to the to the role. Even if he's there for like 2 minutes, I feel like he's very committed to it. A very good character actor. So when I saw him in your movie, I kind of I forgot that he was in your movie. So when he
Mhm.
came on, I was like, "Holy shit!" So that's Eric Roberts, and he's like magnetic in this role as Arvin Winkler, and yeah, great casting. Like he plays it perfectly.
he looks like
Thank
he's enjoying the hell out of himself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's
was.
having a good time.
That was one of the biggest like blessings I feel because like I said, I didn't write that role for him. I had it in mind, but he just killed it, and he had a blast on set. It was great. He's awesome. He's super funny. We were talking about his time working with Damien Chazelle because I love Babylon. That's a hot take
Fantastic
right there
movie.
and stuff like that. But
Yeah, me
yeah,
too. I love that movie. I could
We
feel
both
like
love it,
sort of
so
its.
so it's fine.
I could also feel sort of its influence on R because
oh
they're
yeah,
both sort of about like the vices going behind the Hollywood industry. Even you got the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood poster behind you, or like The Player from Robert Altman. Like I really felt those vibes when I was watching R.
yeah. I think with Babylon, I was like almost done with the script, and I remember thinking like, fuck, thank God I'm almost done with it because if I'm gonna let it influence me a little, but if I hadn't been done with it, I feel like I would have let Babylon kind of take over me a little because I saw that movie probably 3 times, and it was just so like Eric was kept saying it fell to shit in the editing room, which if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense why things might have gone a certain way because there's just so much there. But yeah, definitely Babylon. I'm a sucker for crazy shit in movies. I like to say I have a crazy
We can
meter.
tell.
Yeah, yeah, you could. I like to keep an audience kind of. I like to find the balance between story and entertainment, and I'm used to comedy, so it's like I kind of know like where they're gonna laugh, and comedy's almost like pacing itself with the jokes, and that's why it was like a little different for me with this one because while I feel like art is like a comedy too, it's also has its moments where it's pretty dramatic. And yeah, I think that's also I'd say about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is funny as shit, and I
Yeah.
think when you watch it through that lens, it's also super serious. And I like finding that balance right there, but also having that moment in my movies where the audience goes, what the fuck's wrong with this director? He's out of his mind. He's really weird. You know, that's what I like to, when people are saying that to me, they're freaking out in the movie theater. I had a premiere in Long Beach. We had like about 200 people there at this theater by my house. And it was like it was my friends and my family, but then it was also their friends and their friends. And no one had really seen anything yet of me. So I was going into it like, all right, they're going to sit through the hour and without spoiling anything, they're going to sit through the hour and think, okay, we've got it figured out. And then the shit hits the fan. I'm like, am I about to freak the fuck out of 200 people and somewhat of people that I don't even know? And, you know, they loved it. Thank God. But that was something I was a little worried about showing like close friends and stuff.
I also wanted to ask you about the character of Jim Brown in the movie, who I thought was really intriguing. Honestly, I didn't even know much about this massive historical figure until I had watched One Night in Miami a couple years ago, where Aldous Hodge played him. Um, he's like this really larger than life figure in your movie, and I wanted to ask a bit about the process with writing him and with directing the character, the actor on the set, because I thought that was such an intriguing side of this movie.
Jamori is one of my best friends. I've known him for probably almost probably 8 years. And funny thing about him is he's a baseball player and he's like went D1 and he wants to go to MLB. His brother's in the minors right now. He's just this super athletic. Like, I don't know if you could tell, but he's like 6'6", which Jim Brown isn't. And Jamori is just like, I always want to put him in more shit, but he's so busy all the time because he's always playing and traveling. But he is so good. I wrote that with him in mind. And obviously Jim Brown wasn't as young as he is in the time thing, but I think that kind of works with my story. I like to think that I have almost a like a different, like a multiversal take on certain things. Like my dad's character was I think 30 years older than the real Gordon Fleming when this happened. Same thing with Robert. They were like 30 when they did that. And Jim Brown kind of was also, I think he was in his late 30s or something. But yeah, writing that character, I knew I had to do justice by it because, you know, Jim Brown, he's like you said, he's a huge figure. And I wanted to really make sure that what I was doing was right because especially I wanted to figure out, like, get behind like what type of hardships he had faced joining the movie industry, not just because of his race, but like in the movie because of, you know, he's a football player. Like if people were going to get behind a black football player joining the movie industry at that time. And I kept watching interviews with him. And in one in particular, I remember him being very adamant that he didn't want to pay attention to any of the hate towards him and didn't feel like it had any weight on that race aspect, which when I watched that, it kind of led me to go in a little bit of a different direction with the script, because if it was a thing that he felt like with this movie in particular, I was going to deal with that in the script and I was going to talk about that and I was going to make it a little bit more known and do justice to that. But Jim Brown was, like you said, this larger than life guy who didn't let shit get to him, and he just kind of carried himself in this. I kind of romanticize it and like make it more like, you know, in this movie he's very, very cocky and very like likes to win, but he's also a good dude. And I think
he looks like he's like ready to like reinvent the black movie star in the 60s sort of.
Yeah, and I think that works with. I wanted to do that because of his age that I was making him play. If you're younger and he's claiming he has that much success, like on the football field, like my character kind of was, I feel like you're going to be a little cockier than you would be at that age. But I just got this general vibe from Jim Brown from all the interviews I watched and everything I read, that he was just such this intelligent man who had his shit together and literally was just like a perfect like figure to look at if you want to succeed in something. And that's something that I admire a lot in anyone. Someone just like keeps pushing for their goals. So writing Jim Brown's character was just, it was awesome. I had a blast doing it. I'm so glad Jamori killed it. He is the best actor that is not a real actor that I've ever worked with. You give him any scene and he'll just steal it. He'll take I remember I got this shitty review on Letterbox and fucking in any, even when they're shitting on me, they go like, oh yeah, underutilized Jamori award, or like Jamori was good but fuck Holden, you know, like it's like he can do no wrong. Like,
God, I hate film reviewers on Letterboxd.
Yeah, no, it's just like
at least I'm off from Twitter. That's worse.
Yeah, Twitter.
Oh, that's definitely worse.
Definitely. But yeah, no, it was a blast writing for him, and I love working with him, and I would do it forever and ever if I could. And I plan to when I'm older, once I get my shot, to give that guy an audition, because I think he could take it home.
I will say, like, he was my favorite actor in the movie that's not Eric Roberts. So yeah, I definitely understand that, and he was actually my favorite character too. So yeah, he really brought it home. Like, and now you're telling me he's not even an actor.
Yeah, I thought I didn't know you guys were friends.
I was 100% sure he was.
That's for sure. You got this guy with like a portfolio. Like, I didn't know you guys were just friends.
I got really, really lucky, and I got a really tight circle of friends who like making movies with me, and they have fun. And I've been doing it for so long. for them, it's fun when we do like the high school movies because I made 2 movies ago. It was called Radical Moonlight. It's a 70s movie, kind of like Dazed and Confused, all in one day. And it was just me and like 20 of my friends for a month, basically, just fucking around and saying this outrageous stuff that I'm writing for them and driving around in vintage cars. And just like, it's just a blast. I feel like movie making is one of the best bonding experiences you can have with someone. And that sounds so crazy because, you know, oh, what am I going to, like a kid who doesn't want to make movies, like is not going to go out and make movies to get closer with someone. But if you have that inclination or that slightest itch at all, and you think your friends might want to do it, to anyone listening, I would say like, go do that because it's awesome. And it's just like the best way to, I think, get closer with a group of guys or whoever you want to hang out with. It's a once in a lifetime experience. It's great.
We actually just shot our own short film, like what was it called, like 3 months ago, something like that.
It was a
2 months
month ago, man.
A month ago? No way. Wow.
It was in June, bro.
So anyway, we just shot that, and I understand that, like with the people that were there, like you create this bond, even though it kind of almost destroyed my friendship with Gal. Everything else, like with everyone else.
I think you
Yeah,
guys
don't have Gal as a director. I'll tell you that much for free. No,
Oh
I'm
God.
joking.
huh?
I won't
Let's air out
retaliate.
our dirty laundry from our filming here.
I won't retaliate. This isn't about me.
Oh, I've had my fights with my friends on my set, and when you're the guy who's, they, you know, they don't. None of my friends are actors, or they don't fully want to be. They're interested in it, but they don't fully want to be. And when you're working with your best friends, like there are times I have them in like my voice memos when I'm sometimes recording car dialogue, where you'll just hear me and my best friend like AJ, and I'll just be like, he'll be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, Holden?" I'm gonna be like, "Oh, shut the fuck up, AJ. Do that now." And it's like this funny relationship that you have with your friends. And that was another thing going into directing, like your dad. When you have a more laid back environment, when you're making a high school movie, directing your friends and you're cussing at them, you're joking around, you're having a good time. It's a little more relaxed versus your dad. Number one, I'll say my dad took it more seriously, and my dad isn't a 18-year-old, 20-year-old kid, so it's a little bit easier to direct him. But also, it's my dad, and that's kind of fucking weird to direct my dad. Which I'll say, like, I didn't have to do much, but he does do this thing where he likes to start talking in a Southern accent. And that was like the one thing I had to tell him. I don't know why he does that, but he'll just run with a line and start talking.
But they're in California.
Yeah. But that was like, I remember with Eric, there was a part where when we were filming, we were in my dad's office, and it was like a Saturday, but there was someone walking down the hall, and it was so loud, and it pissed me off. And we were just waiting because we were in like the heat of that scene, and everyone was ready to go. And then after they walk away, my dad just started tapping his feet too for some reason. And I was just like, do not do that, Dad. And then Eric goes, don't yell at your dad. And then we kind of like got back into it. But it was just like having that relationship and that balance is definitely something that's funny to me, at least.
What's it like telling your dad to curse so often?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been reading my scripts for a while, and he's just like always tells me like, you don't need this much fucking there. You don't need this much cocksucker, all this stuff. You don't need it, Holden. And I go, oh, I don't need it, but I want it. And so for him, he kind of is able to look at it now as like he's gonna do the role how I want it. My older brother is kind of a loose cannon too. And we both are just kind of, you know, they're used to hearing us walk around the house for so long, just saying outlandish stuff. And my dad, hearing him curse like that, I have this separation, I think, with my characters and whoever they are, in the most non-asshole way possible. I just want you to do your fucking role, basically. And with my dad, it's like, it's funny to hear him say, like, when I hear him say stuff like I try to think when he's saying like, what, like, where the fuck is the cheetah? Or like, I'm looking at him in the room with not to give things away, with like people like wearing those costumes and stuff, that's when I go back in, I'm like, what's going on here? But I like to have this separation, I think, and I can't really control it, where my dad's not my dad when we're filming. He's Gordon Fleming, and I really just care about getting my vision made. Um, Obviously I care about my dad too. I love him, but that's what we're there for. We're not here to you know, maybe in between takes we're having father son time, but we're here to get this script done and get the vision made. So yeah.
Very Gordon Fleming of you. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
very, yeah.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, no,
From
yeah.
the fake tree.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, like I a lot. That's something I want to talk about because hearing you talk about the movie like that and about your relationship with the actors and the material and all that, it does make me understand how Gordon behaves a lot more, because it is in some way I feel like maybe you didn't do this like on purpose, but like maybe subconsciously you put a little bit of yourself in Gordon there. And I know like we've done that when we've wrote scripts before, so for sure like uh there's at least a little bit from your past experiences as a director and all that. So yeah, I just yeah, I wanted to compliment you on that, because like it, as at least as a person who has been in the other side of that, like it really translates.
Thank you. Yeah, this is my most personal script by far. The ideas that started R were, I've always loved R-rated movies. I've always loved to push the boundaries. Uh, my mom kind of had me on this PG-13 line when I was making movies with my brother, and it was so funny for us to try and not cross it. And I just like love the idea of having this ultimate freedom to do what you want in movies. And then there was this legend I'd heard of Scorsese that Tarantino talks about, where it was Scorsese was going to get an X rating on Taxi Driver because of the end shootout and because of the blood. And apparently he locks himself in this room with a gun, gets drunk, and is going to go kill the producer of the movie the next morning. That's a legend that happened. And I don't know if you guys heard that, but apparently, uh, you know, that's what happened. And all he had to do was color grade the blood to a little bit of a brighter cherry blood than dark. And that was like, I was like, what would a director do if he gets his passion project fucked in the ass? And I thought an R rating that never had been like, there was PG and then there was porn, basically. That's the spectrum right now, because PG-13 wasn't invented.
X, directed by Ty West.
I'm looking at Temple of Doom poster right now. It's just 1984. That's when PG-13 came out. So it's like, what happens when this like foreign rating is slapped on, and what would happen? And I'm getting a little sidetracked now, but yeah, I had to look within myself what I would feel like, and that was going to be the original ending, and I just felt like I had to. If that was how it was going to end, then that was how it was going to end for me in real life. I was like, there has to be something that works out for this guy. Otherwise, I'm fucking nuts, is what I felt like. And so writing this, it was very, it was very, it was a therapeutic process, I feel like. And I got to like call myself out on stuff that I know that I do as a filmmaker and a person and a friend, really. I'd say a big plot of this movie for me is like the friendship aspect between Gordon and Robert. And like I said, collaborating with my friends all the time and family. That's how I view my film sets, is like, if you're on my set, like you're my family. And that was just super personal to me. This whole movie, very personal, emotional experience. And the craziest part was like how the Oliver Cooper, Eric Roberts thing kind of came together towards the end of the movie. And a whole part of my movie is make your movie how you want. Don't worry about the accolades. Don't worry about the people in it. Don't worry about the fame. And I got my first two real actors in it, and one of which I admired for so long, Oliver. So it was really weird, I'd say, when that happened for me personally, because it helped. It felt rewarding in a way. So definitely very, very personal script. I'm glad you noticed that too.
I don't think there's a more perfect way to end the interview part of our show with than that. A reminder: if you're watching just the video of the interview, go follow Holden, and please give him shoot him a message so he can send you a link. You won't regret it. It's a great time. If you're here, you love movies, so there's no reason why you would.
If this interview didn't encourage you to watch it, I don't know what will. Shoot him, slide into his DMs.
Do it.
In a non-rated way, please.
Yeah,
so,
not in an R-rated way.
Yes, or in an R-rated way. Maybe he would like that more. I know, I'm joking. Don't do that.
With cursing is what we mean.
Maybe cursing, yeah.
Yeah, tell me if I send you the link and I'll do it.
Exactly.